Chapter 3. This will be part 1 of a 3-part series, Ecosystem and Energy. Ecology, the study of interactions among organisms and between organisms and their abiotic environment. We've already discussed the interactions between both of these. Please remember, biotic and abiotic, you will need to know those words. Biotic meaning living, abiotic meaning non-living. Levels of organization. In this graphic, we show levels of organization from a mere atom to a molecule. Molecules make up cells, and cells, when you put them together, make up tissue. Tissues, when you put them together, then create organs and body systems, and then eventually an organism. Organisms interact with one another, and the same species in a given area is called a population. Community is all of the biotic factors interacting, and an ecosystem is the interaction between all of the members of the community as well as the physical characteristics or abiotic characteristics of that ecosystem. A landscape that we have here shows actually 3 different ecosystems that merge together. And these animals actually, these organisms, actually can be part of 1, 2, or 3 of the different ecosystems, and that's called landscape. Landscapes then make up biosphere. The biosphere is the area of the atmosphere and water and ground, that area that can contain life, where life can be found. Here's just another graphic showing the organism, showing a population. Again, this population is a single species in a given area. I want to give you an example so you understand. There's white-tailed deer all through the Midwest, but a population of white-tailed deer in Illinois would have a hard time interacting with a population in Indiana, in a different state. Therefore, their genetic diversity might be different. Their gene pools might be different. So they might have characteristics within those populations that are different from one another. So just so you understand the given area of a population. Community, again, in this we see the groundhogs or the marmots, prairie dogs really, interacting with an owl or a hawk, another hawk here, grazers, interacting, looks like cactus and bushes and butterflies, all living things. Then when we add in fire and rain, then we're adding in the abiotic factor. And then here again is the biosphere. I just realized that the pictures are over top of the ecosystem definition. Community in its physical environment. We just went over these. Okay. Look at the pictures. Try to distinguish which one goes with which definition. The whales are a population, the dogs, the scrub brush, and the kill, which is a baby lion. Sorry. These are African wild dogs. They are a community, and here we have a community interacting with an abiotic factor, a water hole. So that's the ecosystem. hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. Basically what we're looking for is the entire Earth is considered the biosphere. The lithosphere is the crust of the Earth. Hydrosphere would be the oceans, and then atmosphere we have to get in there as well. And then that gives us everywhere that life can be contained. In order for life to take place, organisms to do what they do, they have to have energy. And this is just kind of a background so that you know that there's different types of energy and where energy comes from. Excuse me. Chemical, thermal, mechanical, nuclear, electrical, and radiant energy. Chemical energy runs an organism's body. Thermal energy is energy that we create by the use of heat. Mechanical energy, motor working. Nuclear energy we use for electricity, or we can make bombs with that. Electrical energy, that when we turn on the light switch, we get lights. And then of course radiant or solar, and that's our big huge sun in the atmosphere, or in the sky, beyond the atmosphere. Just a couple of terms here. This is when we're talking about energy, and we're talking either in calories, and that's if we're talking about intake of energy by an organism, we usually talk about calories. And British thermal units, or BTUs, is the amount of energy, say, that your air conditioner puts out, or your heater puts out. It puts out BTUs, or sometimes they're called joules, J-O-U-L-E-S, joules. And 1 BTU equals 1,055 joules. Kilowatt hour is what your electricity bill is based on. How much energy you use in kilowatts per hour. And just to give you an idea, 1 kilowatt hour equals 3,600,000 joules. So, or 3.6 megajoules if you see it like this. We're going to be learning and working with all of these units as we go on, and I just wanted you to see them. Two types of energy we're going to be working with in this section. We're going to be working with potential and kinetic. Potential energy, that's stored, such as the picture with the gas tank. Kinetic energy is moving energy. So, how does a body store energy? Well, sometimes it stores energy as fat. Sometimes it stores as what we call glycogen, which is a big long chain of glucose. And that's stored in the muscles so that energy is readily available to muscles, and also stored in your liver. In looking at energy, we have to look at two laws of thermodynamics. Notice that they're laws, so they are proven in all settings. Going a little bit for biology there. First law of conservation of energy means that energy cannot be created or destroyed. There is a finite quantity of energy. Finite quantity means that it is a closed system. It's kind of like putting it in a box and shutting the lid. A closed system. Okay? That's the universe. Energy comes from the sun, and that energy is closed. There's only so much energy in that sun, and no more. Eventually, that energy will be so disorganized from the sun, because it will have broken down, that Earth won't be what it is today, nor will the universe. But for the next few billion years, we should be good. Second law of entropy means that energy can change forms, but waste heat is lost every time there's a change, a physical change in the energy. And the law of entropy kind of means disorganization, so you're trying to measure the amount of disorganization. And this leads us to the quality of energy. There's a lot of quality of energy in glucose, which makes glycogen in your body. Glucose is the fast energy that we get and that we utilize. And that's high quality energy. High quality energy. Heat energy that we put off while we metabolize and we use this glucose, that's a low quality of energy. That heat, once it gets out into the atmosphere, it's very disorganized and it can never be brought back together to do any more work. So that's the law of entropy, is that it's so disorganized, it's out there, it's still there, but we can't compact it or bring it back to a point where it can actually physically do any work. This is, when we look at this and we look at ecosystems and we're looking at the energy transfer. How do you get energy? You get energy from eating. So do all organisms get energy from eating, unless you're a producer, and the producer obviously gets it from photosynthesis. So every time there's an exchange, when the gazelle eats the grass, when the cheetah eats the gazelle, at every stage of that food chain, there's a loss of energy because each one of those organisms has to metabolize in order to grow. When it metabolizes, then most of that energy is lost out to the environment to heat. Go find somebody in your house right now. You can stop this. Go put your hand out. Don't touch them. Just get it close enough and you can feel them metabolizing. You can feel the heat coming off of their body. That's disorganized energy. And it's an open system because there's a loss of energy in the system, which is the premise of the rest of this chapter. Photosynthesis. How does energy get into the ecosystem? Through the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast of a plant, and this is the equation. 6 carbon dioxides plus 12 water plus radiant energy yields 1 glucose, 6 waters, and 6 oxygens. Most of the time, when somebody asks you, what's the product, what comes out of photosynthesis, your first response is going to be oxygen. And really, oxygen is a byproduct. I mean, a good byproduct, we need it to breathe. But what glucose is trying to accomplish is making that glucose, C6H12O6. That's what it's trying to make. And by making that, then it provides energy for the plant. The plant grows, it metabolizes, it puts off some of the energy as heat energy, even though you don't think plants as being hot exactly, but they do put off some energy. They do go through a minimal amount of cellular respiration. And what's left over in the plant, the glucose molecules, chain together and make starch. So when the animal eats a plant, then it is getting that energy. Now, animal eats plants, and then in order to utilize that energy that it gets from the plant, it has to break it down. So cellular respiration is actually the exact opposite of photosynthesis. You have 1 glucose atom, 6 oxygens, and 6 waters that yield 6 CO2 plus 12 waters plus energy. This is the only thing that's different. Sunlight energy versus ATP. So radiant energy versus chemical energy. ATP is the energy that you need in order to move, to breathe, for your brain to function. That's ATP. It's adenosine triphosphate. You'll be learning about that in biology, as well as cellular respiration and photosynthesis, so we don't spend a lot of time on it here. Okay. We are going to take a break, and this is actually going to be the beginning of part 2.